All right, continuing with this effort to try to make a grandiose explanation on dragon fruit. I'm here in Rainbow. This is the oldest ranch. You can see them up on the top there. There's about 5 acres planted here. But because it's the oldest ranch, this is where we have the most damage. You can see the end posts were well concreted, but they just didn't have the strength to support the weight, and I lost those last year. We've replaced that middle row, and here I have some weakening of a support post, but it's when I put the support posts too far apart, at like 30 feet apart, and I think, like I said, I only had a single brace like that, but we've reconstructed that row with solid beams and closer support braces between the 20-foot metal posts. But we've had a lot of damage as a result of the wet ground, bending posts, bending support posts, bending braces. This is all newly constructed. I'm just down here. I want to show you. We've just concreted these metal posts here because that whole line dropped. You can see broke off the end brace there, collapsed the 2 rows together, and here's some of the aftermath right here. You know, this is all the cuttings we've accumulated down here in the barranca. So just to repeat, just tons of work when the row falls. You can see there we have heavy damage up above there, and we have some damage up on that hill up there, and a little damage below me, and so on and so forth. So you really want to design and construct your trellises to support the kind of weight that these plants are going to create. See that? That's a 1-inch rebar steel, and if you look down at my feet, I don't know if you can see it, but this one that gave way, it was in concrete, just bent, just buckled. So we've learned quite a bit, but I wanted to show you the complexity of growing dragon fruit a little bit. I don't know, I just wanted to show you. These are metal posts that we pulled out of this old row. That's 1/8-inch steel pipe. I'm just walking back to the greenhouse, and I just see materials that we have stacked. New pipe here, here at the welding station, and I don't know, I just thought to again reinforce the idea of how much materials go into this project. It's just an enormous amount of pipe, valves, wire, sleeves for the wire, irrigation. Each plant gets a dripper, compression fittings, pressure regulators, pots, mulch material, clamps, an assortment of clamps. Let's see, right here what I've got. I've got this piece of steel with a wire rope clamp. I've got some hose clamps up there to reinforce that. I've got a U-bolt clamp on there. I've got different kinds of wire with the tensioner there. You see that middle tensioner in the middle there? I had more different kinds of welds and clamps here. Just an enormous amount of material just to try to secure these heavy weighted plants in the upright position in a fairly concentrated, high density sort of format, get early production. And there's some debate within myself even whether the high density platform is really the best. Okay, I don't have very much time to wrap this up. This is the nursery, and also the storage area and our pickup area for the fruit after we've cleaned it, graded it, and so on and so forth. We actually have a semi come up this road here and then back up over to those coolers there. They can see them behind the box truck there. There's an open door. And those are refrigerated coolers. I have two of them. And we palletize the fruit and load it onto the semi. So, well, you can see here, I've got a lot of chlorosis. There's different explanations for this, and we really don't use these plants and fruit for our business. It's more of a well, it's a display. Let's call it a display. These are all in the public domain, more or less. So here we have double plastic opaque greenhouses that are filled with air. So the air goes in, acts like a sandwich, and insulates both in the summer and in the winter. And there I have just a few. It's early February, so we're just getting started. A few queen bee. This is a new one I'm hopeful about. But I'll just walk around a little bit and try to I have to mention one other thing. I told one of the viewers that we make our own compost. So there's the compost pile that we're working from right now, and then the next one, and then the larger one is one that we keep turning, and then until we start heating it up. It rained, so I got a lot of moisture into the piles. So anyway, the whole idea of these 3 videos, this is the third one, is to address the complexity of this dragon fruit industry. So what you have is conventionally you have low sugar whites from primarily Vietnam, and you have some Central American red flesh. But there's 2 species of those, the costarricensis and the guatemalensis. And they're very distinctive, those 2 species. There's some hybrids. I think the Taiwanese have hybridized some of these, but so that makes it somewhat complicated. You have 2 species of red before the hybrids, and then you have the white Vietnamese, which have been hybridized primarily by Paul Thompson, he hybridized the white, we call it Hyloceras undatus, with the Guatemalensis, and he came out with some fairly attractive and now commercially utilized varieties. Cosmic Charlie's one, Purple Haze, Physical Graffiti. You've got American Beauty, and so on and so forth. So all the hybrids from Paul were red flesh or pink flesh. He had the Delight, which is a pink flesh variety. So they're sweeter than the Vietnamese, but they're smaller in size, variable in size. They have different seasonalities, timing on their flowering. Now the Vietnamese, they like the larger sized fruit because primarily your large fruit are your sweeter fruit. Now that's not always the case with red flesh fruit. So then on top of all this, there's a self-fertile variety of or group and a not self-fertile group. So the not self-fertile group requires pollination that can only be brought in, I say only, for commercial purposes, it can only be brought in by hand. If you have the right two varieties adjacent to one another or relatively close to one another, then of course you can get some bee transfer of pollen and you'll get set. But it's variable and unpredictable, therefore it's not suitable for a commercial operation. So self-fertility, non-self-fertility, whites, not sweet, hybrids of reds that are sweet or lightly pink, different sizes, Costarricensis, different species. It just is enormously complicated for everyone, the grower, the buyer, and the consumer. And I just happened to be right here on a Costarricensis that we had Paco Fausto graphed for me right there. Can you see it? And it's got American Beauty on the top. American Beauty tends to be very chlorotic in our winters. There's right there in the middle. I'll try to come in. Let's see if I can. Right there, it's American Beauty. But you can see here on the graft, it's not showing as much chlorosis. It's very suggestive that the rootstock of this Costarricensis is better adapted to colder soils. Anyway, I'm going to leave you there and you can make your comments. We'll talk to you later.